Hello, everyone, and welcome to VCU's latest update with our artist talks. This is Concept Design Club at VCU, and today with us is Audrey Gonzalez. Thank you for
Hi.
joining us today.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Audrey's worked with
Disney Animation.
with Disney. Would you like to take this part over?
Yeah, she's worked at Disney Animation, and she is a graduate of Ringling, and we were introduced by a mutual friend. And she does a lot of portraits and visual development, which is what we're mainly going to focus on today, and do a little demo. So,
Yeah, I heard you have a little demo for us today, which is very exciting.
It's it's a simple thing. It's just like I want to show everybody a couple of tricks that like blown my mind in the last couple of months that I've been out here and around other people just to increase productivity. But yeah, so thanks for coming out on a Saturday, everybody. I know how difficult it is to come into school, come into class. I was a resident assistant when I was at Ringling, and I know how hard it was to get anybody to come to anything. So you guys are the bomb. So I know that everybody really, really loves PowerPoint interviews, so I got a couple slides to show you. So let me get that up.
Yeah, definitely.
awesome.
All right, so hi, I'm Audrey. Nice to meet you. A little bit about myself, just real quick. I attended the Ringling College of Art and Design for illustration, and while I was a student there, I wasn't entirely sure, because I have a real passion for, editorial illustration and book illustration. But I also really, really loved, concept and visual development. And stuff having to do with the entertainment industry. So, while I was a student there, I kind of, went back and forth between what I wanted to do. So much so that I didn't necessarily know if I, would have a portfolio suited for either, because I was constantly, going back and forth. So from before Ringling, I attended a lot of art magnet programs. So middle and high school, I was taking art classes a couple hours every day, and that's kept me going on this route, and I'm happy where I've landed. The school itself, that's, I'm sure that you guys know, like it's very, very pricey to attend college, and a private art college is just astronomically even more expensive. But I would say overall that my experiences there, the people that I met, the things that I learned are worth it. They're worth it. All right. So now I'm a background painter on Disney TV Animation's Elena and Avalor. This is the only image that I'm allowed to show right now. This is the only thing that's been released to the public. So unfortunately, I can't show you anything that I've been working on for the show. I came to Los Angeles at the beginning of this year. I graduated school in 2013, so it took me a couple years to get out here. It was not an immediate, all right, you're hired type of deal. So, from school, right afterwards, I was still in Florida, and, you can freelance from anywhere, which is great. But if you want to work at a studio, you kind of gotta get to where the studios are. My opportunity came at the beginning of the year in January when a friend of mine who is a friend of mine now, but we knew each other through a mutual friend who recommended my portfolio for a background position that was opening up at Shadow Machine. Shadow Machine is a studio located in Hollywood. They do things like BoJack Horseman on Netflix, and a couple things for MTV and Comedy Central that they've done. but they recommended my portfolio for a background painter and layout position. And, the moral of the story here is to always be prepared for the opportunity. Always have your portfolio ready just in case something happens to come up. And of course, have it ready for when you're actively seeking recruiters and seeking positions. But I I was in contact with Shadow Machine. They were like, okay, well, would you mind doing a test for us real quick? And I was like, okay, yeah. Meanwhile, like, I'm in Florida, they're over here in Los Angeles. So I get the background test, I do it, I send it the following day with just lines, and they're like, all right, cool, now we want to see in color. Then I do the color also in one night and send it to them the following day. When I received the email from the line producer saying, like, oh, wow, yeah, okay, we really like this, but we really need you to be on location, and you're in Florida, so what are we going to do about that? And I said, I really, really want to be in this industry, and I've been meaning to get out to LA somehow. I just haven't had the means to do it, but this could really be my opportunity to make that transition. The position that I eventually got there was just a temporary one. It was only supposed to be for a month, working on a pilot for the company for, I believe it was Comedy Central. I think it was Comedy Central. That job took me to LA. I crashed on couches for many months. In fact, I only just moved into a proper place of my own a couple months ago, which is great. Not living out of a suitcase is amazing. So from there, that job turned into actually being 2 months long. My line producer was really cool and knew some other line producers on various other projects around Los Angeles, and sent our portfolios out at anybody who was due to be jobless within the following weeks. He sent portfolios out to some different recruiters, and the people at Disney TV Animation who were ramping up for Elena of Avalor saw my portfolio and saw something they liked, so they came in, and I had an interview with them. And a few weeks later, I was working as a in-house on-call prop designer. So still not full-time, but like I'm in. The mouse has let me into their doors for whatever reason. Let me take you to my portfolio website. So this website, I've been meaning to make a transition over to something like Squarespace because it's not very mobile responsive. When you're designing a portfolio website, you definitely want it to be, very compatible with tablets and mobile devices and everything. So, but anyway, this is the portfolio that I showed them. I have some character designs. A lot of this is from when I was in college. And some of these are self-generated projects. So a kind of like eclectic mashup. I wouldn't really say that I have one very distinct or certain style. But I don't know, it kind of works for me. I'm not overly concerned with, matching a style or being any particular thing. Some environments that I did. This is one of the only pieces in my portfolio that's traditional. And this is actually the test that I did for Shadow Machine, which got me the position there. They just asked me to design a gas station.
Cool.
And I did it. And this is kind of what the style of the backgrounds of that show looked like.
Do you know what show that was for?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say because it was a pilot.
Okay.
Yeah, but and I don't know if it was picked up or not either. But oh no, I think they did announce it. There was a production called Dad Boner. It's exactly, what you think I said. They changed the name of it, but yeah, it was a pilot for. I think it was Comedy Central. It might have been on TV. So that's for my thesis, and then I had a short stint at a studio in Florida where I did some of these for various clients. This is work and more personal stuff. Yeah. So you can see like the really weird, wide variety of like kind of photo mashup, and then cartoony and painterly. I am pretty comfortable going between styles, which is not what every recruiter is looking for, but it worked for me. Not a lot in this section here, but this is some stuff from the thesis at school.
Would you say that dividing up your portfolio into the categories of character, environment, props is better than like having almost IP? So like having a whole universe design or a storyline, kind of like that?
It's really a matter of how you like to work. I think it's a very good idea to have projects like very like large scale projects. Like, okay, I am going to take this story and I'm going to design characters for it. I'm going to do environments or whatever. I think that that's a good idea. If you have, and I'm actually going to get to that a little later in the presentation, but if you are looking to divide up your portfolio somehow, and let's say you do have a couple of projects where it's like, okay, I have this story, and I'm going to do characters, environments, props, whatever. I would say group those all together, then go on to the next project. If you're more like, okay, well, I'm just going to draw some props today, and it's like not for any particular story, or I'm going to do some environments or some illustrations, I would say then group those together. Like in your portfolio, put your prop designs all in one area. Mm-hmm. Put all your environments in another area, just to give it a flow. It could work either way. So let me get back to this slideshow. So yeah, so I'm working at Disney TV Animation right now. My experience there has been superb. Everybody is very professional, and I'm lucky to work with a team who is very experienced. So one of my directors, comes from feature animation. My art director has worked on many different projects in TV, and he also worked in feature for a while. And my line producer is amazing. She keeps everybody on schedule. Everything's on time. It's been a real dream to work there. Let's see. So these are some influences that some people that have influenced my work a lot. Some of these probably are pretty familiar to you. I think that Norman Rockwell is on a lot of people's lists. Mm-hmm. Same with Alphonse Mucha. So, this is not by any means a comprehensive list, but you see, like, I'm very drawn to a lot of, like, more traditional, like, illustrations, as opposed to solely, character designs and viz dev artists. I like to draw influences from many different disciplines. I think it's important to do that to, find things that you're interested in, learn whatever you can from them. Like it can be anything. If you're interested in fashion, really delve into that subject, see what it is that you like about it. Is it the aesthetic? Is it the textures of fabrics? Is it, like the silhouettes that it creates on humans? Like what, take that and apply it back to your art. Let's see. So, all right, so for your portfolios, these are some things that I would recommend. Don't stuff your portfolio. It's okay if you only have like 8 pieces or whatever in your portfolio. You don't have to have 15 and 20 pages. It's a disadvantage if you put in pieces that you are not proud of, that you're not confident in, because it's going to show, and you will be judged by your weakest piece. Cater your portfolio to the studio and recruiter. I know that a lot of you have probably heard about this one a lot. It's important to do your research beforehand if you possibly can. Like, okay, I know that Blue Sky is looking for really cinematic environments, and they want a lot of lighting, and they want very like painterly things. If you can, I would go and look at the art of books of a lot of places, or if you're looking at TV animation, try to, gauge what it is that their like style is, or what positions they hire for. So it's very important to know the position that you're applying for. When I applied to Disney TV, or when they called me in, they were really confused by my portfolio. They were like, well, we see you have environments, we see you do prop design and character design, but what do you want to do? And I said, well, I mean, I was really aiming at more of like a broad visual development type of portfolio type of job, and that's fine. But oftentimes, like if you're not there to explain yourself to a recruiter, like I just happen to be, they'll just end up being confused and not really know. Like, okay, well, what is it that they want? So if you're applying for a position, like you're applying for a background layout artist or something, make sure that your portfolio is almost entirely environments. If you are applying for more of a general position like a visual development artist or a concept artist, maybe having a little bit more in your portfolio to show as far as like characters and prop designs would benefit you. So knowing your recruiter, knowing the studio, and knowing the position, that's very important in catering your portfolio. And it's okay to have multiple portfolios. I had a teacher once who, he saw that I was struggling like between, book illustration and concept art. And he's like, you can just have 2 separate portfolios like completely, and that's okay. It's a lot of work, but if you're stuck between 2 different areas, you can do that. And as far as structuring your portfolio, I would definitely start with your strongest piece and end with your second strongest. Or if, like we were saying, you are working on multiple projects, which are longer form, structure it by project. And if you've got a little bit of character design that you've done, and a little bit of environment over here, and a little bit of props over there, you can also structure your portfolio that way. Like, okay, set the discipline that you enjoy the most first. So if you really, really love character design and you think that's your strongest suit, put those first. And that will let the recruiter in on what your thought process is. Like, okay, I really, really, really want to do this, but I'm also good at these things. And when you're starting out, no job is too small, unless they're not paying you well. Yeah. If they're not paying you fairly, and you can make a better living being a secretary somewhere, you're better off doing that, because it's my experience and the experience of a lot of my, fellow alumni, that you go into a small studio and they expect you to pull many, many hours for them, and they're paying you what turns out to be less than minimum wage, because let's say you're getting, I don't know, like $12 an hour, which is, it's not great, but, it's better than minimum wage. But then you're pulling like 60 and 70-hour weeks for them. And it turns out that actually, no, you are making minimum wage and your quality of life has gone down, because you don't see the light of day. You don't see your friends and family anymore. You're just stuck at work all the time. That's not okay. So when you're looking for jobs, apply to small studios, apply to big studios, apply everywhere. Don't stop applying, and don't stop believing. Here, I'm going to switch back to the camera real quick, because I want to show you something about portfolios. So, let's see. When I was applying to recruiters at school, they really wanted print portfolios, and I don't know what it's like at VCU. Do you guys have recruiters come in?
No.
We have a couple of conventions, but not specifically studios.
Okay, all right. Well, that's cool. I've noticed that when you're going to conventions, and I did this the first time that I went to CTN here in Los Angeles, which if you're looking at getting into cartoons or feature animation, you should try and make an effort to go to CTN, because there are recruiters there, there are people working in the industry there. It's a really great networking opportunity. And you can come to Los Angeles and, have some nice weather all the time freakishly. So this is a portfolio that I made when I was applying to recruiters at school. It's 2 pieces of I forget what this is called, but not plywood. What is that?
It's like moleskin cover, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So I went to the hardware store and I bought that, and I made this portfolio. So it's not just like a plastic sleeve portfolio. Mm-hmm. I don't know really how applicable this is to you all, who are probably going to be doing most of your stuff digitally, which is totally cool. But I design the end pages, and every page of my portfolio has my name on it and my basic contact information. Mm-hmm. If you are doing a print portfolio and I know that Hallmark did this when they would come and visit the school, they would actually take pages out of the portfolio. So it was important to have your name on everything that you did. That is for your online portfolios as well. You want to have your name and contact information clearly visible. When you're designing your portfolio sites, make sure that it's easily navigable, everything is clearly labeled, like what medium did you do it in, if it was for a client, who was it for, if it was a self-generated project, say that. Let's see. Oh, this is something that I did want to share. And many of you might already be familiar with this, but if not, it's a really, really cool thing to do. If you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like, oh, I don't know what to draw today, I don't really know what to do, this is a cool exercise. So you just open up a Photoshop document. You start making squiggles. If you've ever been awake really late at night, looking up at your ceiling and start seeing things in the patterns, our brains are really, really good at defining patterns, a little too good. You start seeing things. Anyway, so this is an exercise that I like to do from time to time. I'll just do a bunch of squiggles on a document, and then okay, now I've found some interesting shapes. I'll take those shapes, I'll turn them around and see if I can find anything in them. So from these squiggles, I took these 3 shapes. And I turned them around, flipped them upside down, and I made like weird characters. These are not characters that I would have made on my own. These are not characters that I would have necessarily drawn on my own. But I'm like, happy to see them, and my brain was able to find them. So then I took those and I made them into final characters. Now, like I didn't start out with a story. I didn't start out with anything in mind. I just let my brain do whatever it wanted, and now I've got these 3 characters, and any of them can have like a backstory to them. So that's a really, really good way to get yourself out of a funk. Let's see, what else did I have to show you? Are there any questions so far?
I actually have one. But I remember you were talking about how you were hired as a background artist, and then you mentioned about like visual development being more general. Like, what are the differences between being hired as like a specific artist and then like, visual development? Like,
Can you repeat that? The difference between what?
like having a more specific role as like a background artist or character designer versus visual development. Like, how are the roles different?
Okay, well, the term visual development really seems to be something that feature animation tends to use. The definitions and terminologies are not consistent from studio to studio, which is really frustrating because when you're looking online, and I had this experience and it was awful, but if you're looking on like general job search boards, typing in visual development artist is not always going to get you what you want. Typing in concept artist is not always going to get you what you want. So it takes a little time to learn what each studio wants. At Disney Animation, the disciplines are like nobody's really called a visual development artist. There are a few generalists who will do like storyboard revision and character design and prop design, but they're not necessarily called visual development artists. What I do is background paint. And I guess I can talk a little bit about the workflow. So as a background painter, I'm not drawing anything. I'm just getting the layouts from the layout artists and then painting them with direction from the art director. If you are working in feature animation, that I'm not entirely sure. I think that the steps kind of go back and forth. Like you may or may not have storyboards before you start doing environment paintings. I think that environment paintings are just to get a general feel of what the whole movie is going to feel like get a sense of the lighting, get a sense of the color. And I think in feature you would find the term visual development artist more so than in television animation. When I was at Shadow Machine, I did a little bit of both, like layout and background paint. I didn't just do one or the other. I was mostly painting, but I did do layout as well. At Disney, there's a whole group of people that do that. Same with character design. The character designers will draw something, and maybe they'll give you a sense of what the color is, but there's a color stylist also on our team who will take all of the character designs, all the prop designs, and will give them a color. That's his only job. His or her only job. Ours is a his. And yeah, so learning about the pipeline is really important. And actually, I have a really good resource for you if you want to study further after this meeting. I have a friend named Chris Wimberly who does this podcast called The Animation Network, and he interviews people that are in different pipelines in television animation. And it gives you a better sense of what each person does, what their role is, how they fit into the puzzle, which is awesome. I wish I had known about this when I was a student because I was so confused as to like, who does what? I don't know. How does this work? Because between TV and feature animation, it's kind of different. The disciplines cross each other, but the structure is different. Same with, and I don't know how many of you are like interested in doing video game art as opposed to television. I don't work in video games, but many of the principles are the same. In video games, when you call somebody a visual development artist, I think the term most preferred is a concept artist. So a concept artist is somebody who is able to do a lot of the same things that we would do in television, except that, like maybe you want to design more, mechanical things like guns or weaponry, or like character designs that are more suited to video games rather than television. Not as cute as the stuff at Disney necessarily. Maybe sometimes cute. I don't know. So if you're looking for jobs in video games, concept artist seems to be the word to use.
It's bizarre that they change it up so much between all the different like productions.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. Can you say that again?
It's bizarre that they change up like the name of it based on like what medium it is.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody got together and was like, all right, we're going to call it this, and we're going to call this that.
Right.
So it just started with all these different names. My boyfriend, who I met at Ringling, he is an editorial illustrator, and finding jobs for him on job boards is really frustrating, because if you type in Illustrator, you're going to get Adobe Illustrator. You're not going to get, an illustration position. Or if you type in Illustrator, what people really want is a graphic designer. And that's a whole other frustrating issue, which you may encounter. So getting really good at keywords and just like typing in as many different things as you can think of is pretty essential when you're looking for jobs that way. The other way to look for jobs is to go directly onto the sites of different places. Like I know Nickelodeon has a job board, and they update it constantly. Like, okay, we need a storyboard artist. Please apply, and they'll tell you exactly how to apply. You might not necessarily stumble upon that job, that position on one of those general websites, like Indeed.com, or our school had one, but it changed its name to something else. I don't remember what it is. I use Indeed a lot. Or if you're looking, LinkedIn is okay. It's not really great. People are not very consistent. What's that?
Behance is pretty good it's like kind of the version of LinkedIn for creative.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Behance. If you're on Behance, then you're gold. Yeah, Behance is a good one. I am not on there like a lot, unfortunately. I really should be, but I know that after I graduated, they started making Behance a requirement for the students at Ringling, and a lot of them have gotten freelance opportunities and full-time jobs, I believe, from listings there, from just having their work on there, because recruiters will go and search through portfolios using all these different keywords: visual development artist, background painter, character design, concept artist. Like, tag your stuff, anything you're putting online, with what it is. Otherwise, how's it going to get found? Brings me to my other point. Make yourself really visible online. Post in as many places as you can. If you're one of those people, and like I understand the concern that it'll be, but if you put things on the internet, then it's really easy for it to get stolen, and some people, blah, blah, blah. If you don't put it on the internet, nobody's going to see you. How are you going to get your work out there? The social media is becoming more and more and more important in our field. Just visibility is really key. So things like Instagram, Facebook, not as much. Twitter, Twitter is a really great way to get to meet and talk to people who are in the field, and to see what they're doing and what their updates are. If you start to see a pattern, like, okay, well, this person, and the same. Nobody's going to follow the exact same path, but it's also a really good idea to see like how other people got to where they are. I think that it's a good way to base your own trajectory if you're completely lost. So let's see. All right, so I'm going to go back to the slideshow real quick.
Okay.
There's only a couple more, I promise. Okay, so these are some tips that we have I've kind of covered already. It's important for you to make the work that you want to be hired for. Don't make work like just because you think, okay, well, this is the popular style. And I'll hear many people that are like, well, I mean, if you want to get hired in certain places, you need to have it appeal to that audience. Like if you're applying to Disney, you want to have like cutesy things, like things that are appealing and sweet and endearing in your portfolio. Or like that is important, but make sure that your portfolio reflects you. It's going to be easy to see if you're just like emulating somebody else. The world already has that somebody else. The best thing that you can do for yourself and for whatever industry that you do want to get into is be yourself, because you have that uniqueness to share with whatever company you end up working for. I don't know if any of you have seen the video that's been going pretty viral. I've seen it posted so many times on Facebook, but there's a video about saying no to spec work.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, where they like ask other jobs like to do spec work, but like they wouldn't.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all funny.
And everybody's like, we don't do this for free. So if other people wouldn't do it for free, why the heck should you? There's a really big stigma in this country in particular, and I don't know what it's like abroad, but artists are starving artists. Artists are not contributing anything meaningful to society. Artists are not, they're not important. And it's, since you're doing what you love, you shouldn't have to be compensated for it. There's this weird jealousy that happens too, where it's like, well, I have to work a desk job and like answer phone calls all day, or I have to flip burgers all day, or, like why should you, who you're already doing something you love, like why should you get paid for it? That is total bullshit. You're paying, I don't know how much money to get this degree. You're getting a freaking degree to do this. You're putting in countless hours into your study. You should be compensated fairly for it. So, if you're putting your efforts into something that is not going to feed you, then you might as well do something for yourself or your own portfolio. I have heard of, and like not wanting to name drop or anything, but Google, for example, has asked for free work in the past from some artists. They have a wonderful program where they have artists do their logos and everything. But this was not that kind of thing. I can't recall exactly what they were asking, but they were asking for artists to do work for them for free. And it's like, yeah, the exposure would be amazing, but Google, if you're not going to pay, who the heck is? You have so much money. Oh, it's not in our budget. Well, you should have budgeted for it. Like if you're going to put your efforts into something, do it for yourself. Don't do it for somebody else for free. Don't let them leech off of you. And for smaller companies that like maybe they really don't have the money, like, and they're offering you payment and exposure, who are they going to expose you to? Really think about that. And this is up to you totally. This is up to your discretion. If you want to do something like, let's say, for charity, like that's totally fine. If you want to do something for your mom, she asks you to name her a picture of Antonio Banderas. Not speaking from personal experience or anything. whatever, do it. Use your own judgment, but don't let yourself be taken advantage of because you don't think that you're going to get work elsewhere. Because that's not fair to yourself, and also it's not fair to all of the other working artists in the field. Because when people take spec work, when people take work done for free or for really dirt cheap, it hurts the prices of the rest of the community. So it brings the value down of what we do. And that's the last thing that we need to do. And another thing, don't be a jerk. The industry is small. The industry remembers. It's very true. You'll start when you get into an industry like this, you'll start to hear rumors, and I'm not one for I don't believe in spreading rumors. So don't participate in those things if you hear them, but you will hear them, and you'll start to hear reputations of people that you haven't even met yet, and then you actually meet them, and it's like, oh wait, yeah, that's kind of true, or no, they're exaggerating a little bit. But either way, don't be a jerk. Be nice. Just treat others the way you wish to be treated. The golden rule, that applies here. And we talked about networking already. Getting your platform or yourself onto every platform that you can. Being consistent with following through with posting things, and also engaging in the community. So if you're on something like Twitter, you're not just tweeting out to the void. You're actually tweeting at people like, hey, I saw that thing you did. It was really cool. Or, man, I really agree with what you had to say there about that thing you said. Talk to people. Engage online. That's important. And this last point is something that I've seen. I personally have failed on this myself, and I've seen many other people do it as well. Follow up. Follow up with your emails. I know emailing sucks. I hate it. Everybody hates it. Emailing sucks, but you got to do it. If you meet with somebody at something like CTN, make sure, take their email down, and by the following day, send them a thank you. Thank you for meeting with me. Thank you for looking at my portfolio. I really appreciate the feedback. Here's a link to my site. Here's a way to contact me. Please feel free to keep me in mind for any opportunities that you have coming up. And another important thing is to know how to be graceful in accepting a rejection. So if somebody is like, well, your work is not quite what we're looking for, or, they're giving you advice on what to do to improve your portfolio, and once you do that, maybe then you can apply again, make sure to send them an email saying, I really appreciate you taking the time to looking at my portfolio, and thank you for your advice. I appreciate the feedback. I will definitely work on those things, etc., etc. And then if you make a good contact with that person, even if your portfolio was not exactly what they were looking for at the time, it'll be nice for them to remember you as somebody who took the rejection gracefully and was not bitter about it, and took it as a learning experience rather than oh, well, I don't want to apply to them anymore because it means to me. It's really easy to just turn bitter and not want to associate with them anymore. Just, trust in yourself, trust in the system. If you work on those things and you really apply yourself, you're going to get places soon enough.
Just a quick question. You've been working on this TV series for a little bit, and are there any specific shows that you guys are kind of looking at for reference, or do you have a specific show that you enjoy personally that you might look to for inspiration?
Well, with what I'm doing, our show is going to be, if you guys are familiar with Sophia the First, and I don't know if any of you are, it's a preschool show, and it's a princess show, and it's all CG. And our show is a spin-off off of that. So, we're not doing flat graphic styles like you would see something like Wander Over Yonder, Gravity Falls. You're not going to see that in our show. So with the backgrounds that I'm doing for this show in particular, you're going to see like more rendered objects. You're going to see more attention to lighting. And we do have some source material already with Sophia the First. So we're able to kind of jump off of that and, make something that's more suited to the feeling of our show. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to share a couple of resources that I think would be helpful. I already talked about the Animation Network. It's a really great place to go if you're trying to figure out like what the heck is TV animation and where do I fit in. animationnetworkpodcast.podbean.com. You can follow them on Twitter and on Facebook, etc., etc. But listen to these. I work with a lot of the people that have been interviewed, and I learned a lot just by listening to them. You learn a lot when you're on the job, but this will teach you even more. Another one, which many of you might already be familiar with, is gurneyjourney.blogspot.com. This is James Gurney's blog, and he updates it like every freaking day, and he's been consistent with it for years. I don't understand how this guy does what he does, but it's incredible. This is an incredible resource. He does interviews, he does book reviews, he teaches you about color and light and composition, and he breaks down like the old masters, their styles, what media they use. I don't know if any of you do traditional media, but if you do, then this is a really, really great resource for learning about like different color fastness of paint, or how to use case colors. And he also did this book here, Color and Light. He has another book, I think it's called Imaginative Realism, and I haven't taken a close look at that one. But Color and Light is very good for learning about lighting and painting and setting a scene with color and light. It's a great book. I would definitely check it out. The Skillful Huntsman here. This is a book which maybe a lot of you are already familiar with if you're into concept art. This actually talks about the thing I was showing you with the silhouettes and finding characters and things. It breaks down the process of a concept artist. And if you're looking into going into games, this is a really good resource for you. In like what it is that you should be doing for your portfolios. It's also a great resource if you want to do animation, because a lot of those same skills apply. Another really good book is this Graphic Artists Guild Pricing and Ethical Guidelines Handbook right here. This is the version that I have, and I know that they've released a new one since then. So like, if you're going to invest in this book, I would probably get the most up-to-date one. But this book provides contracts, and it shows you like the average amount that you would expect to be paid if you were. They have statistics for the animation industry in here. It's not just print media. It's not just like editorial illustration, although they also have that. If you're going to do like an album cover for a company, then it shows you, okay, how much should you expect to be paid for that? If you're going to do a full page illustration for the Washington Post or for a newspaper, it shows you what you should be expected to get paid.
What's that book called?
I'm sorry?
What was that book called?
It's this third one on the slide. Do you see it?
No.
Oh, am I talking?
Yeah, we.
Oh, I thought I had the slide up. Okay, well, here we go. Let me do this. Here we go. Sure. Cool. Do you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, so yeah, I have a couple of links there, and also these these are the 3 books that I'm just like, I could recommend a whole slew of books, but these 3 have helped me the most. So it's this 3rd book over here. It's the Pricing and Ethical Guidelines book from the Graphic Artists Guild. And so they provide all sorts of like contracts and like sample things in there for you to see. It's been a real help if you're if you do want to do multiple things, not just doing concept art or visual development or whatever. If you also want to go into, if you want to do freelance, it will tell you, okay, this is about the amount that you can expect from freelance. And of course, it varies from client to client. You have to feel that out. But if you're just starting out, this will give you a pretty good idea of where to aim. The last resource I want to share with you is something that I don't share with really anybody. I don't advertise this, but my own Pinterest board for tutorials. That's where I just, anything that I find online that I'm like, wow, that's a really useful thing to know, I'll take it and I'll pin it there so that I can refer to it later. So that's, Pinterest.com/Audrey Gonzalez /tutorials. And of course, like you can see the other boards that I have there. So I'll like pin things that I like color-wise or compositionally, or, like, I don't know. So that's where I'll go back and like, okay, I really like this about this piece. Maybe I can take that and apply it to my own work. I recommend that you keep either a folder on your computer, although like that can get filled up really quickly. I like Pinterest because I can just, from wherever I am, like if I'm on a computer that isn't my own, I can pin something to my board and see it anytime that I want to. And organize it by category. It's really been helpful in my development as an artist and just learning the things that I like. And does anybody have any questions so far?
Can you guys speak up more?
Have you finished writing all of these things down if you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me? Hello?
I'm sorry, are you saying something?
Yes. Sorry, hello?
Hi!
Hey, what's up? This is a very oddly specific question for something I'm working on right now. Since you're just talking about tutorials, do you know of any tutorial that messes with the puppet warp tool in Photoshop? Like that are just particularly good, and I know that's odd, and you just be like, just look it up, dude. But I was just curious.
I don't have anything pinned on my Pinterest board for that, but I have seen videos of people using the puppet warp tool. I can't off the top of my head recommend something to use specifically, but I know that the resources are out there. Let's see.
That's cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I wish that I had a more specific source to give you. Are you animating something right now, or are you just like trying to?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Photoshop?
Sorry. Yes. Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
I actually have a question about your Disney, like the studio that you're working at. I know a lot of TV companies will kind of outsource the actual animation to smaller companies, but I'm not. I was wondering if Disney does that as well, or if you have in-house animators, and how that works out.
Yeah. Okay. I want to get back to looking at you. They outsource most of the animation, at least for the 3D animation. I don't know how much is done in-house for the 2D animated shows. I think that most of those are also outsourced, unfortunately. However, there are positions within the confines of the buildings that are like revisionist animation positions. I don't know exactly what they're called, but we'll get the footage back from the overseas studios, and if there are any corrections that need to be made, that person will make them. So those skills are still applicable.
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, a lot of those jobs are being outsourced.
Right. Do you know any specific studios that you can think of?
I don't know their names specifically. I do know where they're located. There's some in Canada and some in Korea, and I believe there are some in India. And we're going to be working with one in France as well. So those studios are doing a lot of animation.
Right.
A lot of the animation is I've seen it go to Canada more and more, which is interesting. But yeah, if you're looking specifically to go into animation,
Yeah.
Prepare yourself for this changing landscape. I don't really know what to say. I did go to school with a lot of computer animators. Ringling is mostly known for the computer animation program.
Right.
So, and a lot of them are working.
Yeah.
A lot of them are working in studios here doing lighting and all that. You'll see animators mostly, like if they're working here, mostly in feature, I think. And I don't want to mislead you, but I think feature is where you're going to see a lot of the animators in the U.S. still. And there are some studios that are in the U.S. that will take jobs from bigger studios. I worked with one in Orlando that did stuff for Princess and the Frog. The head of that company used to work Disney Animation when it was out in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer there, so he decided to stay there and open up his own studio, and that's what he does. So you'll see little pockets here and there of like traditional animation still happening. It's not super easy to come by.
Right. That's what I figured. Just thought I'd ask.
Sorry.
No. It's totally fine.
Are there a lot of animators here? What's the scope of the students?
There's a handful.
Yeah.
Mostly concept design, or just environments and kind of like IP stuff. But there's some of us that have an obsession with animation.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are still people animating and
Yep.
getting jobs in animation, so, fret not,
Yeah.
fight hard.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Did you have a question, Rebecca? There's one more question.
Hey,
Oh, hi. I was just wondering, do you know what good ways do you do when you're dealing with burnout and stuff? Like, how do you kind of get over that, or keep working despite it, or anything like that?
Despite what?
Like burnout or just kind of exhaustion with the project. How do you stick with
yeah,
just take power on through?
I faced that when I was in college. I took on way too many projects in my junior and senior year.
Mm-hmm.
I was, doing full-time classes. I had a part-time job at the school. I was an RA. I was running like one of the biggest student-run gallery shows both years. I know burnout. The best thing you can do is try to get some sleep and take a walk. Try to clear your head. And when you get back to it, you kind of have to force yourself through it sometimes, unfortunately, especially if you're a student or if you're working for clients. You just have to persevere. Find something that is comforting to you. A cup of tea, some soothing music, turn on some candles, dim the lights. Just find a space where you can relax and then power through it. I faced that as a student, and it was really awful. And actually, one thing that I do want to share with you is, and I don't really tell this to a lot of people, however, right after school, I had all these expectations placed on me, and I just felt like I wasn't meeting them. And I got really, really depressed. And for a lot of people, that's a reality. When you're on social media, and this is something that I've found a lot. If you're on Facebook, you're seeing, okay, my friends they're all getting married, or they all have boyfriends and girlfriends, and they all seem like they have their life together. They're traveling. They seem so happy. Why am I the only one that isn't happy? Social media gives you this idea that everybody is completely happy and perfect with their lives. And they're only showing the good parts. They're not showing all of the crap that they're going through, like the family drama and the the lack of confidence. They're not exposing that to the world. You're not alone. There are people out there who are feeling the same way. When I was right out of college, I felt like a failure, and I felt like I wasn't going to get anywhere. I was getting freelance here and there, but it was not paying any bills. But my advice to you is to find the people who love you, make sure that you have a group of like a support group, and keep working. Keep making stuff, no matter how you have to get to that point. For me, it was like finding groups on Twitter that were doing collaborations or whatever, and everybody was, making like a mural of Pokemon or whatever, and you had to pick a Pokemon to do. And I did. I personally did Pichu for a Smash Brothers collaboration, and that was able, I was able to, get feedback on my work and see like a community of people coming together to put a project together. And I wasn't getting paid for it, but it was something that I was doing for myself to establish ties in a community online, and to just do something. So don't stop making. That's my advice.
Thank you so much.
I think we have another question lined up.
Yep.
Or more of a hello.
Hello. Yeah, it was between this or playing Fallout 4.
You surprising me.
Yeah, I'm not playing Fallout 4.
Yourself away from Fallout 4 for this?
Yes, I did. Yeah. But actually, you answered my question because you exactly.
Oh, yeah?
Said. Yeah, I thought that was cool. That's what I was going to ask about, how to stay sane after you graduate, which is like important for a lot of these.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. What?
Basically, it's like how to stay sane and still keep production like at like optimum, after you graduate, because a lot of people that we know, like, they kind of fell off the face of the earth, and we know a lot of people that don't do stuff, but equal amount of people that do a lot of stuff too. So yeah, so you kind of answered that in a way, so that's cool. But yeah, anyway, yep, I'm here. I'm not playing video games.
Oh wow!
If
You guys are.
that's not love, I don't know what it is. Do you have any other questions? Yeah, of course. Come on,
Hey.
nice and
Hi,
close.
can you hear me?
It's a little hard to hear you, but
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Okay. You mentioned that when you have a portfolio, it's important to put your name on every single piece. I was wondering, like, do you have any thoughts on, like, do you necessarily have to have, like, your, like, legal name, or if you have, like, I don't know, like a nickname you have for yourself or a brand name or something, can you use that, or just, like, a web address or something?
Yeah. No. If so long as it's consistent, I don't really see any problem with it. It's not like they're going to be sending you checks, and if that, like, a check has to have your legal name on it, or if you have an LLC or something established with your nickname, then that's fine. But if you have a presence online and you have a nickname that you would prefer to be known as, like, that's fine. So long as you have a phone number and an email address to contact you with, there's no problem.
Okay. That was it.
Also, speaking of video games, do you play any games, or do you have anything that you find visually pleasing?
I have a love of video games, but I have not played one in way too long. But when I'm working, I'll watch a lot of Let's Plays on YouTube,
Definitely.
which I don't know if you guys are into that or not. I think that people who are, like, really get it, and people who aren't really don't.
It's either love it or hate it.
So I just finished watching a Let's Play of Undertale,
How's that?
which is an indie game. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Audrey, remember when I was making fun of you at the academy because you were watching the whole entire Mass Effect playthrough that summer?
I was watching a what?
Mass Effect, Let's Play Mass Effect playthrough. And I was like, why don't you just play the game? And you were like, I don't have the fucking time. Yeah, I remember.
It's so true. I just made a purchase. I just made a television purchase. I don't know if you see it over there. And I'm like, man, I gotta get some systems and like have some mad like Wii U parties or something. And I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love games. I like the visuals of something like Rayman a lot. I was really into the reboot of the Rayman series with Legends and Origins. I loved that. I was really into Kingdom Hearts, and that's got a place, very near and dear to my heart from growing up with that. I like Portal, and I played. I don't know. I forgot the name of it. The other game that was in like the orange box,
Half-Life?
the one that we're waiting still for the third installment.
Bioshock?
Is it Half-Life?
I like Bioshock too. It's a Steam game, and I don't play a lot of shooters.
Team Fortress 2.
What's that?
Team Fortress 2?
No, the other one.
That's the orange, right?
That's the only thing I got.
Here, help me.
I think no one has any idea.
Half-Life.
Yeah,
Half-Life.
looks so
Half-Life 2 specifically.
good. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So I wish that I would had time to play more games. But yeah.
All right. Do we have any other questions? We have another question.
Hello again.
Hi.
Hey, so I was curious. You mentioned you were couch surfing when you moved out to LA for like.
Yes.
How are you just like super popular, or did you actually use the couch surfing network, or what did you do to do that?
So I happen to have some friends who moved out here either after school or came here like attended school here. So when I first got out here, I stayed for a week with my friend Elizabeth, who actually also worked at Shadow Machine. Then I stayed with my friend Danny for a little while until he had to move back to Florida for a different job. And my friend Michael, I've known him since middle school, and he went out to school here for at Art Center, College of Design, and I stayed with him for a long time on an inflatable mattress. And I can't tell you how happy I am to have a real mattress, you guys.
Achievement unlocked.
I didn't use the Couchsurfing network. I feel like that could get pricey. When I was first out here, I didn't have the means for that. I just didn't have the money for it. So getting to know people who live in these cities is was very helpful to me. It was an accident. None of these people were living in LA when I knew them. So, and also my friend Michael let me stay at his house for way too long. I can't believe he let me stay there for so long. But, we grew up together. We used to actually live in a house together. So, that's what the circumstances allowed.
Nice.
Cool, thank you. That's great. Friends.
Any last questions?
I have a basic question.
Well, I think we'll feel like this.
Do you play Pokemon?
What's that?
Oh, sorry. Do you play Pokemon?
Do I play Pokemon? I have not played Pokemon. I know. I never had like a Game Boy.
Oh.
I lived a very pauperish childhood. I didn't have a lot of games, unfortunately. I wish I had more. Yeah, no Pokemon. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think we can wrap this up.
Or what is demo?
Yeah.
Oh, right. And you said a demo of some sort.
Yeah, real quick. It's not anything long. I know that I've taken up a lot of time. It looks like it's getting dark over there. All right. I'm working on a Surface Pro right now, so if you see like weird things on the screen, that's probably why. So I made this really, really quick comp. It's super messy. It's just all grayscale. And it's on 2 layers. It's just the background layer and then a layer with like grays and blacks. So I don't know if you guys have ever tried to colorize a black and white, just grayscale image by like, I don't know, doing color overlay, like.
I'm not too sure if it's is the file open yet.
Oh, do you not see it?
We only see like the kind of interface of Photoshop.
Okay, let me try something else. I'll try sharing the whole screen rather than just Photoshop. Okay, you see the whole screen?
You can see us
You see yourselves?
looking pretty
Okay.
good.
Do you see the file?
Yeah, now we see it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so, and this thing over here is just like a touch pad for me that I installed
Whoa.
a
Sweet.
while ago. So this allows me to, touch these with my thumb with my left hand and then draw with my right, which has
Yay.
been really great for productivity
Cool.
on this thing. So here we are. Time. It's kind of like, well, great. That's not what I wanted. The whites will stay white. They won't take on any color. If another way to just quickly land colors that I found that's really, really helpful is to do this. So you go to this menu down here on your layers palette, which is the adjustment. What's it called? It's just this half and half circle thing here. There's an option called gradient map, which will allow you to lay in colors very quickly. Now, let me explain. So basically, this map here goes from black all the way to white, and that is your grayscale. So every value in your piece that corresponds to a point here on this scale, you can add a color to it. So we'll go to something that's pre-made, like this one. So now, what's that?
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it's just a really quick way to lay in color. So everything that's, your darker values are all going to be whatever color is over here, and then it goes gradually into, my screen is so small, I'm so sorry. It goes gradually into these other colors. So I can start dropping in my own colors, like, okay, well, I want my darks not to be this bright blue, but I'll take it down to like a grayish green type, or maybe like a dark desaturated brown. And now all of my blacks are that color. And then I don't want it to be blood red because that's maybe not the mood I'm looking for. I want my middle colors here to be more like I don't know, kind of desaturated orangey type of thing. And then all of my light colors, because that yellow is really jarring, I want it to go more to this. And it's just a really, really quick way to lay in color on a grayscale image. So if you like working grayscale, if you don't like working straight into color and you like to mess around with different color schemes, like, oh, you know what, maybe that's kind of boring. Maybe I want to do this. You can, and you can add points to this as well. Like, I want, whatever, this really weird color on this part of the grayscale. So, and you can also do this and invert it. So if you want to take all your light values, you want to make them dark all of a sudden, you can do that. You go to the far end of your scale and you just drop it down. And everything that corresponds to that value will now be that color.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
you tend to work grayscale and then do this process?
I approach my pieces differently depending on what it is.
Right.
So sometimes I just want to do like a concept and, I don't know necessarily what it is, and I'll start sketching in grayscale just to get an idea and like start to see whatever comes out on the page. And then this is a good way to start getting the color after that. a lot of times I'll start with, just like if I'm drawing a character, I'll draw a sketch and then, do it the regular way or the the more well followed pathway where it's just, the sketch, and then maybe I'll clean up the line work, and then under that I'll put color. And it's very simple. It's not anything intensely complicated.
Right.
The other thing I did want to show you is smart objects. I learned this from somebody that I worked with at Shadow Machine. He taught me the magic of smart layers, or smart objects. So in what I do, a lot of times I'll have to do like a tile pattern on the floor or on the wall or whatever, and a lot of times my art director will come by and be like, maybe those tiles should not be that blue that you have there. Maybe they should be an orange instead. And it's like, well, shit. All of those tiles are already laid out in perspective, and like changing all that would take a lot. There's a lot of layers, a lot of tiles. That's a pain in the ass. Smart Objects lets you make those changes really quickly. So let's say I've got this tile here. It's on 3 different layers. I can click on one and then shift click to select all of them. And I'll go to my menu here and click on Convert to Smart Objects. So now what that does is it's merged all of these into one layer, so I can move it around. It's all just this one layer. Now, a smart object is basically like a file within a file. So if I want to edit this, I can, or let me duplicate it real quick. And I've got 2 of them. Hooray! So if I want to go and edit the color of one of these, I double click on the thumbnail in the layers, and it'll open up a whole new file. So this is another file separate from this one, which we were just on. On this file, I can manipulate the color of each of the individual layers, do whatever I want to this file. I can, transform it, make this small, skew things around, change the colors again, whatever. And then all I have to do is press save. So, Command save or Control save, depending on if you're a Mac or a PC. And then the changes will be saved onto the smart objects in the other file. These are also lossless images. So if I wanted to, okay, I have a bunch of them all together, or whatever, and they're all in perspective. If I've warped them, manipulated them. I don't know if you've ever warped something in Photoshop, and then when you hit save, the bounding box goes back to being something that's completely rectangular rather than the more useful thing, which is for them to be in the exact points that you put them at. With a smart object, when you go back to transform, all of the points are still exactly where you put them.
Huh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So let's imagine that I've got a whole pattern of these here. I've got a bunch of them all in a row.
So do you keep like a clean one in the file so that you can always go back to it?
You don't have to.
Huh.
So let's say I've got all these here, and I want to just warp them into. They'll all stay exactly like this. So that's the bounding box for all of them, that I can go in and manipulate each one, and each one retains its own perspective. And now our art director comes over and is like, those tiles need to change. Now it's not a pain in the ass, because I can just say, all right, well, what's going on? So I can manipulate them and And what is going on? Excuse me. This is over here now for whatever reason. And this is over here. And I added another layer, and that layer is this pink over here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, and then I save this. You can close it anytime too. I can close it. But now the changes have been saved to every single smart object that shows the same properties.
That's very good.
So those are a couple useful things that I found. And yeah, I hope those are helpful. They've saved me a lot of time.
Those are super helpful.
So, and I believe that's all I have to share, unless you guys have another question for me. And please, feel free to contact me via email or Twitter or wherever you're most comfortable contacting people. If you have questions or anything. And I hope that you learned something today. And I'm sorry that I took up so much of your time. It seems so late.
They usually go for 2 hours, so you're under the time.
Well,
Oh,
this is also
yay!
1.5,
Yeah,
actually, so
rough's a 1.5.
This
So
is
perfect.
pretty much perfect. Yeah.
But
Cool.
thank you so much for joining us today. I know this is your day off, but
Yeah.
Oh,
thank
no,
you.
I'm glad that I can help.
Yeah.
Let me get back here. Hi.
well,
Yeah, thank you for having me.
yeah, of course.
Are there any last minute questions?
Anyone? We got one more.
Yeah.
We got to take her.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey.
So you were using a Surface Pro to draw that on Photoshop?
Yes.
Would you recommend that as an artist's graphic tablet? It's not exactly a smaller Cintiq, but would you recommend it just to have it and doodle with times?
I like it because it's mobile, and I'm working off of the very first Surface Pro, so it was cheap. I got it when the Surface Pro 3 was out, so I just bought it used. It's a lot cheaper than the Cintiq Companion. The screen is a little bit smaller. There's no tilt sensitivity, but the pressure sensitivity is okay. It's good enough, and you can set your settings on Photoshop and on your computer to help your process along. That thing that you saw on the side with the touchscreen buttons, so helpful. Before I had that, it was really frustrating to get around because there's this, detachable keyboard on this tablet, and it's not exactly comfortable to use. So you can manipulate it to fit your needs. I think that for the price, I would get this over a Cintiq Companion. But and that's the caveat of saying I would still have a desktop, either a Cintiq or a tablet in addition to this. But this is really great for, you got to do something on the fly.
Yeah.
It's been helpful for me too because, couch surfing is not conducive to having a workstation. So this it's helped me out a lot in that regard. And also, it's a tablet, so if you're going to conventions and you have your portfolio on your tablet rather than carrying around a clunky paper portfolio, you can just use this. So look into it. There's I know Noah Bradley has done some comparisons between the Cintiq Companion and the Surface Pro, and he likes the Surface Pro line a lot, and he does concept art with it all the time. So he has video reviews if you want to take a look at those.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
That's awesome. Definitely good to know.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up. But thank you so much again.
Yeah.
Can't tell you how much we appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
There's all the love. So much love.
Cool. And, be there for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Well, have a good day or night, I suppose.
Afternoon, I guess.
Yeah.
Still day.
Early evening.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.